Good morning. It's great to see you here. Welcome. Day 2 of 30 of our movement challenge. So, we're going to move our bodies for 30 days. Some days it'll look a little more like working out, and some days it'll look a lot more calm. Today, we're going to be working on the hip flexors. Hip flexors are really important to your posture because here's what happens. Sometimes bad posture originates with the hip flexors. If the hip flexors get tight, you tend to lean your body forward. And if you lean your body forward and your back begins to hurt, then what you have is you have your back starting to do this rounding bit. And then your neck begins to hurt because you've got to make some kind of adjustment in your neck to look where you're going. So that's one of the reasons why hip flexors are so important. Let's have a seat and start with breathing. And grab yourself a block or a thick, meaty pillow to sit on. Cross your legs. And breathe in and out of your nose. Close your eyes for a moment and feel yourself get a little quiet. Now we're going to breathe in and out of the nose through the whole practice. In through the nose, out through the nose. So not mouth breathing, but nostril breathing. And then inhale, interlace your fingers, lift your torso up off of your hips. Exhale and relax. And so hip flexors, one way to lengthen some of your hip flexors is to simply imagine you're lifting your rib cage up off of your pelvis. So you might hear that instruction throughout today. And that's what that means. It's like literally lift up and your hip flexors lengthen. All right, so we're going to get started really nice and easy. So we're going to put a block down. I like to put a block just to pad my knee. But if you don't have a block with you, or if you're unsure about being up on a block, you can double over your mat or make sure you're on a thick carpet. And what we're going to do are we're going to do some hip glides, some hip flexor glides. So when we go forward and back here, this isn't a lunge. This is a really simple, straightforward, easy exercise. And we're going to open up the kind of like the first layer of connective tissue in the hip flexors here as we go forward and back, forward and back. Now, we just show you what this looks like. Most people, including me, if I don't really pay close attention, are going to lean forward here. And when you do that, that shortens some of your hip flexors, a lot of your hip flexors, the ones that we're targeting right now. So I want you to put your hand on the back of your head and one hand on the back of your pelvis and keep those two hands stacked on top of each other and shift your weight forward and back. That's different, right? It feels completely different than allowing your body to come forward. And again, lift your ribs up off your pelvis. And you're probably feeling a little bit more than you thought you might. All right, now we have 9 muscles in the hip that flex the hip, that are hip flexors. So this next position, we're going to be in external rotation. So watch my back foot. I'm going to take it back behind the other foot, behind that front foot, and take the hand to the back of the head and the hand to the back of the hips. And I'm going straight forward and back like on a train track. So sometimes when we're in external rotation, I'm going to turn forward towards you. You keep going. Or internal rotation, we tend to veer off to the side. So you just want to make sure you're going straight north and south. And again, this one is behind. And for me, this is the easier one, but for you, just notice where is it tight in your hip flexors? Which ones? Which of those 9 muscles are a little tight? All right, now for this next variation, we're gonna take this foot out to the side. You're in internal rotation. The hip is an internal rotation here. So we're gonna put a hand, the back of the head, the back of the hips, and glide forward and back. And be careful here because this is where we tend to veer off that north-south train track, so to speak. Don't forget to breathe. A lot of people lose their balance here, so stay balanced. Take your arms out if you need a little extra support for balance, and focus on the head and the hips being stacked. All right, now let's switch. And go forward and back here. All right, head and hips right on top of one another. And when you get really honest, you're going to feel a little bit more than if you were to lean forward. Actually, if you haven't leaned forward, just lean forward just a tiny bit, and you'll see immediately you feel something completely different, like, ah, that's off. This is on, and that is off. All right, let's externally rotate. Take your foot behind the other foot and keep gliding on the train tracks forward and back. Deep breaths. And notice your face. If your face muscles seem like they're a little tense, turn the corners of your mouth up into a half smile and notice your forehead relaxes. Now let's internally rotate. Head right on top of the hips, forward and back. And so you'll notice, like I'm noticing on my body, that this foot doesn't want to come out to the side, which means these hip flexors are a little tight this morning. What are you noticing about your body, your hip flexors? All right, let's gently come out of that and we'll stand up and put your block to the side for now. Now the hip flexors need also, so here's the thing I hear most common. My hip flexors are so tight and I don't know why. I keep stretching them out every day. Every day I do a lunge or something like that, right? So next question I ask is, what are you doing to strengthen your hip flexors? What are you doing to strengthen them? And usually people say, I want to strengthen them because they're tight. But they're tight because they're also weak. So if we don't do a little strength work for those hip flexors, they're just not going to let go. The fascia is going to pull in a few hours after you do that lunge, um, and then it's kind of like this vicious cycle, right? So I want us to get into a little down dog. A couple of things I want you to notice about down dog are your shoulders. We want them wide apart from one another. You can also think about it like the shoulder blades sliding down toward the waist, and then the crease of your elbow rotating forward and shifting the weight into the back of your heels, even if your heels don't reach the floor. So that's the first position you can do this next exercise in, is from a down dog. I'm going to show you one more position that you could be in. So if your hip flexors are fairly weak, you may want to go to a table, a wall, or a chair and place your hands. Let's see, I'm going to use this here. And place your hands. So if you're using a wall, you'd place your hands like this. If you're using a chair or a desk or something, you just place your hands on top of the seat of the chair, on top of the desk. And this is what the exercise will look like in that easier variation. So you want to keep your hips exactly where they are, and then take one foot and step it up and forward and touch the sole of the foot to the floor, and then bring it back where it came from, not moving the hips. Not moving the hips. And here's what it then do. If that's for you, continue with that. And then you can kind of switch and do both sides. And if you're doing this in a down dog position, this is what it's going to look like. Hips do not move. And what most people experience is, oh man, I thought my foot would get closer to my hand. I'm not moving my shoulders. I'm not taking my body forward and back. I'm just stepping forward and back. The other thing I see is people like to take it around. It's a cheat. So if you catch yourself cheating, you can place an object in front of your toes. You step over it and make sure that your foot goes straight over it and straight back. It does not matter how far forward that foot goes. But the more you work at this, the more you're going to feel your foot going forward towards your hand. But don't cheat, because you're just cheating your hip flexors out of being strong and mobile. Strong and mobile and loose. One more. And then here I'm going to switch sides. So if you did both sides, a little bit on both sides, just simply do both sides again. I'm going to do a few of these on this side with less explanation, so it'll be a little quicker. Keep breathing in and out of your nostrils. Make sure those hips are not moving. You're not going into plank here. You're staying in a down dog. One more, or you're staying with your hands on the wall or the desk. And then walk your feet forward towards your hands. Let's stay in a forward fold for a little bit. Take your feet hip distance apart. You might be able to fit a fist and a half in between your feet. That's about hip distance. Hip distance means how far the sitting bones are from each other, not how wide your hips are. So let your head drop and shake your head no. Make sure that you don't have a lot of tug in the hamstrings. So bend your knees if you do. Rest your ribs on your thighs. This might be a different forward fold than you usually do, and that's okay. Play with me here and see what we find. We're going to shift the weight into the back of the heels, and we're going to press the heels gently apart. Let your spine elongate here. And notice the connection of your feet to your hips. Feet to the hips. So if you push down through your right heel, you might notice a little shift in the hip. And if you push down with your left heel, you might notice a little shift in your left hip here. Take one more breath. And then exhale and press up to standing. Beautiful. All right, you guys are awesome. So we're going to do a couple more. We have a time for a couple more. Oh, my watch is going crazy. We have time for a couple more positions. So we are going to do another strength exercise, and we're definitely going to do a few things to lengthen out the hip flexors after that. But remember, you need both to have them really, really let go. So, and I'll do several sessions on the hip flexors, so you'll see different ways of both strengthening and lengthening. So here we're going to grab a couple of blocks, and we're going to lie down on our backs and place the blocks under the hips. Now they're going to be end to end, so that they're wide and flat, the widest and the flattest that they'll go. And you want to lie down first and then slide them under your hips. And you want your sacrum supported here. So join me on the floor. Once you get there, take a nice relaxing breath. And take a breath and let your belly breathe. and let your pelvic floor relax. A lot of times when we clench in our hip flexors, the pelvic floor also clenches along with them. And they can each hold each other back. All right, so we're going to take the right knee, interlace your fingers, and grab around that right knee. Extend your left leg out long. I want you to really reach through your heel. So you've got a flexed foot, and your heel is reaching down into the floor and down the length of the mat. We're just going to hold here a little bit and breathe. Again, this is a nice, simple, straightforward position. Now, if you'd like to add a little bit of something to it, if you lift your heel barely off the floor, like maybe you could fit, like a while you're out notepad underneath your heel, that close. I mean, that close. And then just take your leg and kind of tick tock the leg side to side. Take another breath. And then relax the feet to the floor and shift your knees side to side. You can allow one hip to come up off the block when you go from side to side, and that will give you a nice feeling, sensation in the hip flexors. So we have one more side to do, don't we? We'll bring that knee in towards the chest. Reach that leg long, flex your foot. Reach down through your heel. Press your heel gently down into the floor, into the mat. Breathe. How are you guys doing over there? Wonderful. I hope lifting the heels slightly off the floor. Shift, tick tock, like the pendulum on a big grandfather clock, side to side. It can be small or it can be a little bigger. Notice where you're feeling the best. And relax. Feet to the floor. Pull the blocks out from under your seat. And roll to the side and sit up. All right, so I'm going to show you the easiest variation of this next strength exercise. So what we're going to do is we're going to lie on the floor. So I want you to watch first, because if you lie on the floor with me, it's going to be really difficult to see. So if you lie here, watch me. I've got my knees, they're not in towards my face, but they are out so that my lower abdominals engage a little bit. I'm going to keep my knees together. I've got my feet flexed, and then the heels go apart, and you keep your knees together. All right, it can go pretty far because I'm practiced at this. My hip flexors are very strong. Now I'll put my feet together and relax to the floor. So today, if your feet don't go that far out, it's okay. Just keep those knees together. So let's do this together now. I'm going to face the side. Actually, I'm kind of now. I'm not going to. I'll face this way still. All right. So your knees are together, flexing your feet. Keep your knees together. Take your heels apart some more, and apart even more. Put them together and relax the feet to the floor. Excellent. Take a breath. This is round 2. We're going to do 3 of these. So number 2, keep breathing through your nose, and your breathing might speed up here a little bit because this is challenging. And you're going to work here a little bit in the hip flexors. Keep your knees together. Take your heels apart. Take your heels apart some more, and take your heels apart some more. Of course, like any physical practice, I want you to keep aware of your body, present in your body. And if something's too much, I want you to stop and either skip the exercise or modify it until you feel safe, supported, and very comfortable. Last one, knees up, feet together. Deep breath. You can always leave a question in the comments, and I'll get back to you if you have a question about this. Take your heels apart more, heels apart even more. Bring them together and relax. Take another breath. Okay, what did you think about that one? That was good, right? All right, let's roll to the side and then push up to seated. And last little bit, I'm going to get back onto these blocks. I'm going to get back onto your blocks. So lie down, and then we're going to put these end to end under the hips. Again, if you don't have blocks, you may have something else like some collected works, William Shakespeare or something on your shelf that's really thick. You can use that. All right, we're going to take these under your hips again. And relax here. Now, this time we're going to do a little bit different exercise. So, we're going to take the knee and we're just going to kind of loosely kick, you know, like your leg might shake or like ricochet from the kick a little bit. But you don't have to kick so hard. But now I want you to kick kind of out to the side and see what this feels like. If it doesn't feel great for you, for your hips, don't kick out to the side, just keep kicking straight on. And then kick in the other direction and see what you get here. And then last little bit, we're going to switch to the other side. Right leg reaches. And the little tiny kicks. Out to the side. And to the other side. Now, if this is a comfortable position for you, you are welcome to rest here. You're also welcome to lie down in Shavasana. Close your eyes for about 5 minutes, or put your legs up the wall. As always, it's a pleasure. I'm wishing you a fantastic day, and I'll see you again tomorrow. We're doing shoulders tomorrow. So see you soon, and let me know your questions in the comments.